Hey guys, this is Carrie, and this is our review for quiz number 1. So most of these problems should be familiar, either from a quiz, a homework, or a lesson. But I thought we'd get a chance to review them before the quiz. So solve the following equation for x in terms of a, b, and c. So when you're solving these problems, we want to isolate x, so you start with the variable that's furthest away. In this case, that's b. So to cancel out the b, we multiply by b on both sides. That will give us x over a minus c equals b times b, which is b squared. Now the most common error on this quiz was a lot of people multiplied by a here, but that's not right. If you look at the x, the thing that's furthest from the x is actually the c. So to use inverse operations here, we would have to add c on both sides of the equation, and that would give us x over a equals b squared plus c. Now I'm going to stop color coding because it's starting to get frustrating to switch the pen, but we multiply by a on both sides now, and you remember your parentheses here and here, which remind you to distribute. So you get x equals ab squared plus ac. Final answer. Let f of x be the function 4x minus 6. If f of a equals 12, determine a. So with these problems, whenever you have a function given to you algebraically like this, and you're finding input and output values, be really cognizant of what the input is, it's the thing inside the parentheses, and what the output is, it's the thing on the other side of the equal sign. So if you input a into this equation, the output is 6. Now you just solve algebraically for a, and you get 4a equals 12, divide by 4 on both sides, and you get a equals 3. For this problem, very similar looking, but the input is 12, so you input 12 in. 4 times 12 minus 6 equals b. Now, we've already solved for b. We just need to simplify this side. We get 48 minus 6 equals b. 42 is b. For problem number 3, the graph above shows a function f of x. The function f of x doesn't have a nice rule, but based on the points shown, you can still answer the following questions. So determine f of 5. So we go to 5 as an input. If we're going to 5 as an input, that means it's going to be the x value of our coordinate pair. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the x-axis, and the point there is 5, negative 9. So this is negative 9. Determine a if f of 3 equals a. In this case, we're given the input is x, and what we're looking for is the output. So when we input 3 in, 1, 2, 3, the output is 5. So it must be that a was actually 5. For the next one, we're given an input of b, so we actually are missing the input this time, but we do know that the output is 3. So if the output is 3, that's the y-coordinate. So you go to 3 on the y-axis, and the only point there is negative 4, 3. So it must have been that the input was negative 4 to result in an output value y of 3. If f of a, for what value of a does f of a equal negative 2? In this case, a is the input, which would be the x-coordinate, which is also unknown in this case because it's a. And this time, the output is negative 2, which is the y-coordinate. So we're wanting negative 2 on the y-axis. The point there is negative 7, negative 2, so it must have been that a was negative 7 to get an output of negative 2. Now some students thought this was a typo on the homework, but for what value of x does f of x equal x? Well, what this says to me is the input's not known and the output's not known. But what's special about these are that the input and output are both the same value. So if they're both the same value, let's see, is there 1, 1? No. Is there 2, 2? No. Is there 3, 3? No. Is there 4, 4? No. Is there 5, 5? No. But there is 6, 6. And in this case, the input and the output are the same, so it must be that x is 6. And I'll put a star next to that. That was a challenge. All right, for problem number 4, 2 social media websites, website A and website B, open their memberships to the public. Which website has a greater average rate of change between day 10 and day 20? Day 10, day 20. Got to use the slope formula. So for problem number 1, website A, problem number 4, website A, we've got to do m is equal to y2 minus y1. Y coordinates are going to be on the right-hand side of the table, and x coordinates will be on the other side, divided by x2 minus x1. So we get m is equal to 2150 minus 1400 divided by 20 minus 10. M is equal to 750 divided by 10. M is equal to 75. And if you think about units, we had y on top, which was members, divided by x on the bottom, which were days, so members per day. All right, for website B, again, we're looking between day 10 and day 20, so day 10, day 20. All right, and the scaling is funky here, so we got to be really careful with that. If that's 600, that would be 300. So 300, 600, it's going up by 300s. That's 900, 1500, 2100, 2400. All right, so these points are 10, 900, and 20, 1800. So to find this slope, I did it graphically. So from 900 up to 1800, that's a rise of 900 for the delta y, the rise. The run is 10 because it's from day 10 to day 20. And then m is equal to 90 members per day. So it looks to me like choice B had the greater rate of change. Sorry for crossing everything out, but choice B had the greater rate of change. All right, let f of x be that. Determine the average rate of change on that interval. This is the one case we haven't looked at. Sure, it's easy to do on the calculator, but I don't have a calculator. So what we need to find is we need to make our table with x and y. The interval here gives us the x values, 1 and 4. To get the y values, we have to plug these in for x. So when x is 1, f of 1 is equal to 1 squared plus 5 times 1 plus 3. F of 1 is equal to 1 plus 5 plus 3. F of 1 is equal to 9. So the output value is 9. When x is 4, we plug 4 in. We get f of 4 is equal to 4 squared plus 5 times 4 plus 3. F of 4 is equal to 16 plus 20 plus 3. F of 4 is equal to 39. But this isn't the end of the problem. The reason why we wanted that table is so that we could use our slope formula. So m is equal to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. M is equal to 30 over 3. M is equal to 10. Next topic from lesson 5 was domain and range. So for domain and range, we're setting up some boundaries here. So for the domain, that's all of the included x coordinates. So if we want all the included x coordinates, the furthest left we could go would be all the way off the grid. But let's slide that line until we hit the minimum x value that appears or doesn't, or is close to appearing on the graph right here. So that would be x equals -5. Now on the right-hand side, we slide the line imagining doing that, and we see quickly that that's x equals 2. So it must be that the domain is from -5 to 2, not including -5, including 2. Or, if you want to write it in inequality notation, I build the skeleton for my answer, and I get on the right side, -5, on the left side, 2, and in the middle, x. One thing we have to change is it can hit 2, so that has to be or equal to. All right, so guys, really important here. Most common mistake on the quiz was for domain, whether you write it like this or this, it has to be minimum, maximum, with that order, minimum first, then the maximum. All right, next up for problem number 6 was the range. The range is going to be, I don't want to use red because I just used that. The range is going to be the y values. Maximum y value is -3. Minimum y value is not -9. Okay, time to make a mistake, guys. See if you can figure out before I clarify it what's wrong. If you do -3, -9, you just lost half the credit. Why? The reason why is you actually have to put the minimum first. So -9, -3, including -9, not including -3. Or In inequality notation, -9 is less than or equal to y is less than -3. So this one was confusing because the -3 is on the left, but when you think about it y-wise, this is actually the max, so it has to be on the right-hand side of your interval. Next step, if f of x is that, determine f inverse of x. Great, finally inverses. Step 1, rewrite it with y. To make this the inverse, we got to turn it to the opposite by switching the x and the y. So we get x is equal to 3y minus 9. Step 3, this looks really funky, so we got to solve for y. All right, so to do that, we add 9 on both sides. We get x plus 9 is equal to 3y. We divide by 3 on both sides. We get y is equal to 1 over 3x plus 9 over 3 is 3. Done. Wait, no we're not. They want f inverse of x. We made up the y notation, so we better write it with the notation that they gave us. All right, problem number 8 is a really cool problem that's definitely a challenge, but it's a problem that I really enjoyed writing, so hopefully you enjoy solving it. So let f of x be the equation mx plus b. So this is a general equation for a line where m and b are constants and m is not equal to 0. So this is some extra information that we're going to be using to solve the problem, and I'll try to emphasize where m not equal to 0 is important. So determine f inverse of x in terms of b, m, and x. So the idea here, variables, letters, numbers, whatever, solve the exact same way. So step 1, rewrite your equation with y instead of f of x. Step 2, to make it the inverse, switch the location of the input and output. Step 3, solve for y. Let me keep the coloring the same here. Step 3 is to solve for y. So we minus b on both sides. We get x minus b is equal to my. We divide by m on both sides. I'm going to write this as y is equal to 1 over m x minus b over m. And this is actually f inverse of x. We solve for y. And it looks a little strange. There are some features that are obviously opposites. 1 over m very much feels like the opposite of the slope we were given. Plus minus feels like the opposite. But b over m is sort of unexpected, but the algebra shows that that was correct. Prove that f inverse of x is also a linear equation. Well, let's see. This is in the form y equals, and it's a little bit confusing for me to write m here, so I'm going to write capital M, sum slope times x plus sum y-intercept. So matching the pieces up, yeah, we've got a slope, we've got a y-intercept, so this must be a linear equation. So now that we've actually matched things up, we've kind of answered parts C and D. The slope of this line is 1 over the slope of the original line, just because they were in the same position. The y-intercept of this line is negative the y-intercept of the original line divided by the slope of the original line, just by matching up the positions here. So we're now done with the challenge question. I hope you found this helpful, and I'll see you guys in class for the quiz Thursday, which is tomorrow. Whoa, okay, I hope you study tonight.